Welcome again to another episode of Becoming the Better You. I'm Brian K. Ramey, and today I have Manuel Aragon.
Thank you.
Manny, thanks a lot for coming in today. I appreciate it. I really do. So, let me ask you a couple questions. Number one, what brought you to becoming the better you?
Just trying to better myself. I think I have experienced a lot of things that could have been avoided looking back, but it's trial and error, and so I'm just trying to be the best version of me, being a father, being a brother, a son, a mentor, a spouse. I want to just be the best version of me and try to make a difference with what I have remaining in my life.
Okay. Number two, what is your expectations for the audience to get out of this episode? What do you hope they gleaned from this opportunity?
Even if it's a little bit of inspiration, I think my job is done.
Okay. So you love to inspire people.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Leading by example, I think.
Okay. So let's get a little deeper, if you don't mind. So you lead by example. What does that mean every day to you?
I disengage with excuse makers because change can be done. It's all in action. We can talk about I need to do better today, or we can actually get up and do better today. So to me, that's leading by example. Is I can talk about what I'm going to do tomorrow, or I could wake up and do it and just let them see the path that I paved.
Okay. So you're more action oriented, showing through actions.
Be about it, don't talk about it. Correct.
Okay. And where are you located at? Where are you from?
I'm based in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, okay. So you love to ski?
No, snowboard.
Snowboard guy.
Snowboard.
That makes sense. The hat, you know. You kick it to the side.
I'm not as young as I look. I might throw a hip out at my age, but I'll need a week off. I don't know if I can afford that right now. I'm busy.
So we're going through a lot of things with Becoming the Better You and working with you. And I know one of the most important things right now in your life, because I know you have a lot going on, is you're wanting to reach the world through who you've been and who you've become in speaking.
Correct. It's definitely wasn't in the deck of cards a couple years ago. I've attended a few events. I met the BTBY team down in Nashville last summer, and it's just to see the way people engage from speaking events. It inspired me to maybe come out of my comfort zone. I understand I have a strong story to tell, and not a lot of people understand maybe the stuff I've overcame. And just because I'm able to communicate effectively in writing, not everybody reads books. So I want to be multifaceted so that change can be, I guess, made in places that maybe my book won't reach.
Okay, which kind of led me in to, you kind of gave me a nice lead in your past. And what I'd like you to do, we don't need to dwell on your past. We just need the audience really to see, because I think that's important. I think it's critical that people get to know who you are and what you've been through. Even though our past doesn't make us who we are today, there's some elements there that shape us and help us redefine, is what I like to say, redefine who we are and who we've become. So tell everybody, take about a minute and a half and give everybody a little bit of engagement of who, I call him Manny, by the way.
That's right.
Who is Manny? What's his
think
past?
My past was, I just told Big Bob the same thing. I think I inherited a life situation that I didn't ask for. I did what I did young. I learned what was around me. I adapted to the environment, and I made horrible choices because of it. But I think I was following the path of people that maybe I felt like had the best interest for my future at the time. But as I experienced those consequences independently, it changed my decision making. It was a blessing in disguise because it pulled me from the environment that I made excuses about, and it put me in places where I was able to grow. It put me in places where I started to acknowledge that I'm the one who has to make changes. I can't blame you, I can't blame parents, I can't blame friends, I can't blame the neighborhood. And it led me to want to better myself, which education was the next piece of it, where I picked up and just started reading books, self-educated, self-taught. I had all this time isolated, and I crammed 4 years of high school into 18 months, and that was the catapult to launching a business and being an outside the box thinker because I had a record at that time, and it was like, I don't want to go in corporate America. No one's gonna hire me. I don't want to go beg for a job. It was more not a prideful thing, but I just knew that relationship building was going to be difficult. So I wanted a business for myself, and I had to work twice as hard. I had to show up earlier than everyone else. I had to stay later because I wanted to stand above the pack. And what that allowed me to do was just build a business to the point where I became not unreliable on others, but it made me more self-sufficient to the point where I got to pick and choose what rooms I was in at that point and saying, okay, do I want to do business with these clients? Do I want to, build a business in these areas? And as I started to achieve a level of financial success, that's when I started to reflect and say, okay, making money is great, but that's not who I am at my core. That was never the goal. The goal was just to build a better life and overcome what I felt like was a record, and I knew I needed to support myself. My parents weren't giving me money. Not to talk about them bad in any way, but I had to survive. It was based out of survival.
Mm-hmm. So what I hear is during that transition period, you had some limiting beliefs that you needed to overcome and that you did overcome.
Yes.
Because I think our audience, we can reflect back. We have a lot of limiting beliefs that hold us back. And I think in Manny's situation, what you did, you said, you know what? I have this belief system because of my past, but I am not going to let it hamper me. I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to get rid of those limiting beliefs,
right,
and I'll move forward. So now the trajectory is set. You go to college and you become an independent businessman. You said, I'm no longer going to work by your rules. I'm going to work by my rules.
Right.
I think that's fantastic. I think a lot of people, we like to throw the entrepreneur word out there a lot. And I don't necessarily think that people really think about when they say I'm an entrepreneur. What you did is you saw something that was missing and you said, I don't want to be hired by the corporate. Nothing against corporations. I want to bring something to the table more that's me.
Right.
And business was a tool, but how you picked up the books and what you learned, you used that, because we were just talking briefly a little bit ago, and Manny likes to refer to himself as the tax guy. However, or I think you have another name for it, right? What is your name?
I guess, tax man Manny, but that's just, we were talking about
that's
just such a small layer of who I am as a person and what my experience, how deep my experience goes in business. Taxes it started off as a side hustle doing that, 3 months a year, and I've always worked a full-time job outside of that in multiple companies. So I'm naturally a numbers guy. My degree is in accounting, but I've done everything from fractional CFO to payrolls to operations management, and also nonprofit sector. So it's not just taxes.
So Manny the tax man, I think that's actually very small,
correct,
minute. And what I want the audience to really understand is that you may be gifted, like myself, I'm gifted with numbers as well. You chose tax as an opportunity, but you didn't limit yourself to taxes.
Correct.
You actually so what's 3 things that because I'm sure there's a lot that you're doing. What are 3 other things that you're doing other than public speaking that you're currently doing, so the audience can know a little bit more of how you started to branch out?
The one thing that I'm proud about is I'm finalizing my personal book called Tax by Life. That's more from a place of, I think, personal passion, not so much business oriented. The goal is not to go sell a million copies. The goal is to maybe get in the hands of somebody in like a youth facility that can relate to my story and provide change. So that's 1. 2 is I recently was able to purchase a distribution company back home in Colorado that I worked for a decade. So I'm highly focused on building that foundation. We're finalizing a freezer build out this week. That's pretty massive. So just laying the foundation for that, keep my team busy, and I look to expand that footprint from Colorado to national at some point. And with that comes a roll-up of a spice brand called Select New Mexico. So that is just, just looking at brand refresh, and understanding that there's so many avenues I can go there. And then 3rd is just resetting my life to the point where I've, coming out of some personal stuff, just focused on being a father, being a good mentor to the people around me, and just being the best version of me. That's really probably the top of the list.
So I think that's critical to let everybody know, because I think we all think that we just got to stay in one lane all the time. I can't vary. I can't move away. I can't do this. I can't do that. And what you did is says, yes, I can. I can do taxes, and I'm proficient at it. Mm-hmm. However, I can also write a book, and it's not going to be about taxes. It's going to be about taxing your life that other people can use. Right. Then you actually branched out, because I don't know too many tax people that branch out and go, I'm going to become a distributor. I'm going to build my own coal facility. I'm going to do this, this, and this. There's not a lot of people that do that, right, that have that vision. And I think it's critical that you're telling people that you don't have to be just one circle. Yeah, narrow-minded is in your life that other people can use. Right. Then you actually branched out, because I don't know too many tax people that branch out and go, I'm going to become a distributor. I'm going to build my own coal facility. I'm going to do this, this, and this. There's not a lot of people that do that, right, that have that vision. And I think it's critical that you're telling people that you don't have to be just one circle. Yeah, narrow-minded is a great word.
I think on the business side, though, anybody who's ever, and we all look at life differently. I think anybody that's ever branched off and was able to maybe build a family legacy or some form of wealth for their kids, they're not going to do it on a 9-to-5 job. We all understand that.
Right.
And so that was the piece I learned very young, where it's like, I'm a numbers guy. I'm like, I can make $10 an hour, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Like, I'm going to die with $1.2 million, and a bunch of debt. So, but that's where I always understood that I had to put myself in rooms that it's not always financial that can help me grow spiritually, mentally. I'm not much of a workout guy, but even physically, the team's pushing me to just take care of my health better and make sure that my energy levels are good for all this stuff that I'm approaching in the next couple of years.
And then the third one, obviously we talked about, is working on your core self. I call that more your alignment, because in my professional opinion and personal opinion, I think alignment for your tax, alignment for your distribution company, and alignment who you are as a person is key to developing the man you want to be. And I would probably say, maybe I'm going on a limb on saying this to you,
next couple of years. And
then the third one, obviously we talked about, is working on your core self. I call that more your alignment, because in my professional opinion and personal opinion, I think alignment for your tax, alignment for your distribution company, and alignment who you are as a person is key to developing the man you want to be. And I would probably say, maybe I'm going on a limb on saying this to you, number 3 is probably number 1.
I agree. That's what I said. That has to be. Because if we're not right, you're out of the lane.
And I think that is in any, whether it's in your relationships, or that whether your friends, your family, your children, your partners, you need to be in alignment there. Because if you're not, it affects us. It affects us in a way that our businesses really don't roll the way they need to. Because the dog bit me, I'm going to work, I'm mad. I go to work, I'm mad. I go home, I kick the dog.
Right.
If we're out of alignment, and that's the reason why I think it's critical to make number 3 and put it to number 1. Not telling you how to do your business.
I'm full agreement with you.
So I think that's fantastic, because I want them to point it out. What I think you were talking about, you don't have to niche. A lot of people feel that you need to put yourself in a box. You do not have to niche. Matter of fact, diversification, if you talk to anybody, if we're talking just monetary, most people that are weighted heavily with money, we'll say, that have a lot of money, they're very diversified.
Right. I've seen both sides of the coin, though. Some people will say you're doing too much, focus on one project, you're never going to accomplish a goal, and I have to be challenged. I sat idle for 2 years as a juvenile, wishing I could do something productive. And one of my colleagues asked me, "Do you sleep?" And it's like, "Yeah, but I feel like if I'm at home, even just scrolling on my phone, I feel like I'm being unproductive. I want to take my time and whether it's investing in even memories with my son or different stuff like that, I feel like is being productive versus maybe you know, I mean, we all need our downtime, but I would rather do something that's building, whether it's in the businesses. That's what really just brings joy to me, so it doesn't feel like work.
So challenge, ladies and gentlemen, challenge. So a lot of people, and I'm that way myself. I'll go home, and I may be looking at the TV, but my mind is racing. And sometimes I have to look at the TV to hit a dull moment, so I stop racing.
Right.
Because I'm constantly thinking of different ideas. And so I see that. So I think that telling the audience, look for your method of how it challenges you,
Right.
whether it's in a niche or whether it's in diversification. There's no right or wrong answer. I believe in that.
Well, how can you multitask? Let's say you're having lunch, eating a salad, you can read a book at the same time.
I don't think multitask works really well.
You got it. No, but that's how I've honestly been able to achieve a level of what I've done is, you know, I started off like improving 10 key skills. And it was like, okay, I went from a simple laptop to a second monitor. Went from a second monitor to a third monitor. Like, okay, I can manage 6 businesses at the same time.
I'd be going, my brain's
but it was able to allow me to say from a business-minded perspective, okay, I'm able to make $20 an hour doing this one job. If I 3x it, you know, I'm worth $60 an hour. And then you start to think in that context of, okay, now I build a team under me. And so there's ways to level up, and it doesn't always need to be labor intense.
So here's the image I got, Manny. I'm a music guy. One of my favorite bands is Rush. One of my favorite drummers is Neil Peart. And when you're telling me about all these monitors, I'm thinking Neil Peart with his percussion section almost surrounding him, and you're on the keyboard hammering away. You're
That's
like,
exactly what it is.
so I think that's hilarious. And I think it's fantastic. It's it's a challenging thing for you. So we have to make a shift here. We've talked a little bit about your past. We've talked about the businesses that you do. What do you envision future Manny doing? Because I know you, the fatherhood, as to me, that was one of the most critical points for me, to being a dad.
I agree.
And be that anchor for my sons.
My son's at a prime age where I look at him and what I went through in my childhood at that age, and I want to maybe push him down a path that I think can benefit his future. My goal is to educate him, be a good role model for him, like I think any dad wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, be that anchor for him that he can always come and ask dad for anything. Not to the point it needs to be financial, but I mean spiritual and that leadership standpoint where, my goal is to approach maybe raising him a little bit different than my dad did with me. My dad's a great man, but it wasn't so much, personal. You know, he was raising kids pretty much like your story. You know, single dad working 2 jobs, I'm sure is very stressful. And my goal is to not run myself so thin with all these projects the next few years that I actually have time to be a dad and that I enjoy it. And the resources is I think a concern for any of us because we got bills to pay. But I want to be comfortable to the point where I'm present and loving, and then take that and be an extension for others with these projects that I have going on. But the root has to start with him.
What's interesting, I think a lot of people out there, they feel that they're making sacrifices when they do that. I don't really believe you're making a sacrifice. I think you're choosing to be a beacon, a light,
right,
for them. And you're holding yourself accountable to be that.
And I think the piece that I'm sure all of us can attest, it's uncomfortable to do some of this stuff. And I think that's the piece where I'm honest with the man in the mirror, where it's like, okay, what am I capable of? Am I going to fall and stumble? Sure, but you have to be vulnerable for growth to occur. And that's the piece that I want people to understand is I'm not going to perfect these things that I'm doing next week, next month, but the fact is I'm out here trying to do it, and that's what matters. That's where the inspiration.
I always put a plug in for this guy right here, Johnny Avocado. And so we're 3 men in a room, and we're doing this video production, but we're all 3 dads.
Right.
And we have a responsibility. And we just want to make sure that you understand that becoming the better you. We all have a responsibility, not just to leave the future right for our own children, to leave our future for all children a way to see performance of other dads and mothers out there
Right.
that are strengthening that line so they know how to lead. We are, in my opinion, we are the creators of leaders.
But how powerful is it, I'm an individual, you're an individual, John's an individual, where we walk with our moral compass upright, but when we stand shoulder to shoulder, that's where that alignment comes in place.
Absolutely.
That's where we could take this from, hey, Manny in his house is making change within his son, but when we're in alignment and we're doing the stuff that we're doing, we're creating impact in places we don't even see. That's what's important.
And that's what becoming the better you is all about.
Right.
It's all about you becoming the better you, and that focuses on alignment. Mm-hmm. And what you're doing is you're getting yourself in alignment first, and you've created all these businesses. Now, what's next for Manny? Where does Manny see his trajectory?
I don't know. I mean, I want to make change. I want to grow the businesses so that, the goal is to continue to invest in impactful projects that align with my passions and surround myself with like-minded people that are doing the same things.
So give me one passion, just in the speaking, one that you say, hey man, I'm in alignment with that. What would be the one for you?
Youth. I think the young kids need a voice, and they need to hear it from someone who's been through the things that they're doing, not from a judgmental standpoint, but from someone who's actually lived it. And I think I've achieved some level of comfort. I don't even call it success. Some level of comfort where it wasn't easy, but I can maybe leave a blueprint for someone else to follow. Or
a multiplier.
Right.
Rather than a blueprint, a multiplier for them. It just kind of hit me, and I went, blueprint, multipliers, multiplier.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry to place your word. I'm playing here. That's one of the great things that since we've been talking, probably the last couple months, one of the things that I knew you had a desire to help youth out. And that's one of the things we do at Becoming the Better You is we have our youth experience. And I think that's critical. And I know that's just only one element of what you want to do, but you really do want to pour in, as do a lot of people in Becoming the Better You. We want to pour into these kids to say, hey, opportunities are out there. You just have to open your eyes. And here's what I found. I have a friend of mine. He was having problems with his son. Senior year. I stepped in, I started talking to his son. He thanked me for it because he's done the same for me and my sons. Sometimes our voice becomes dull to them. Where if a voice like yours walking into a high school or middle school, your voice amplifies because you're not dad. And you've had experiences. And now they get to see that and they get, wow. So I am so grateful that that's something that you really, I've coached sports and you're wanting to teach people that decisions, we have to be accountable for our decisions, but they don't define us. We can break through the ceiling because it's what it is, a glass ceiling.
Right.
We can break through and amplify.
We're able to change the future of the societal expectations. Just because it was like that 50 years ago doesn't mean it needs to be like that tomorrow. I mean, we see it across, and I'm not very political, but we see it across multiple fronts where, I mean, so much change is going on. With the AI stuff, with the social media, with the ways we're able to communicate worldwide. I mean, I have people message me from Dubai all the time. Oh, thank you for that post. Thank you. Stuff where you don't even realize the impact your words are having across the world today. And that's where I think it's important just to put effort, just to put a good word in somebody's ear on your way out the door. Hey, you look nice today. Hey, we talked about the other day, posting the out signs. Hey, that stove's hot. Don't touch it. Little stuff like that where it's important. And I think somebody will appreciate that. And sometimes it's not always about a pat on the back. You may change somebody's life and we'll never hear from them again.
So folks, did you hear that? It's not just in the state that you reside. It's not in the nation that you reside, but it's the world that we live in. Mm-hmm. That you can amplify, and that's what I see you doing. Because you mentioned Dubai. That is nowhere close to Denver,
right.
Colorado.
Right. I mean,
and it's a lot warmer over there than it is in Denver, Colorado.
Well, and that's where it's a testament to, I think, what's possible. I mean, I'm a living example of the last 2 years. I started writing blogs in my office on my computer, and that led to being on the Marquis Who's Who up and coming entrepreneurs.
Woo-wee.
It led to Entrepreneur of the Year award that I received in Dubai in person last year. But I mean, for a kid like me with my background to go from Denver, Colorado to stand on a stage in Dubai, one, it's a testament that faith is real, and two, it's a testament that believe in yourself because you'll become the better you.
That's fantastic. Well, as we end this episode, a couple things. I want to let people, I want you to tell them how to reach out to you. Because I know you have a book. Do you have multiple books or just?
I participated in an anthology last year. That's available on Amazon and also on my website. So I'll give the website address. So that's www.aragontaxreturnservices.com.
Okay, I'm going to slow you down. Manny has a habit of talking really fast.
And we'll drop a link in there.
We'll drop a link, but I want you to slow down for this one. Where can they reach you at? What's your website?
So www.aragontaxreturnservices.com, and my social media handles are across the top of the website, so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, all available there.
And what's the name of your book?
So the first book was Success DNA, so that was an anthology, and the second book, we're probably about 45 days out, is going to be called Tax by Life.
So 45 days out, another book, Tax for Life, is coming out.
So
that'll
be good.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. It's been fun talking to getting to know you.
I appreciate it.
And I just want to end with, you can reach all of us at becomingthebetteryou.com, comechangeyourlife.com. You can reach out to me, Brian K. Ramey. You can see me on our websites. I also have briankramey@gmail.com. What we're here to do is just make impact in the world. We all believe we have our spot, and we can allow that. If we all just start creating that one light, it becomes a big light and a big vision. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.